Hello and welcome to my channel In Search of Wonder. My name is Anne and today I'm going to show you how to tour a city in one day. In my weekly reading wrap-up earlier this week, I talked about how we went to visit Boston over spring break, and it was initially part of my City in a Day project. And if you watched that video, then you know my City in a Day project is simply how I visit cities within an easy drive or train ride from me and see as much as I can of the city in a day. Now, why would anybody want to see a city in a day? Well, first of all, it's fun. It's fun just to go there in one day and see as much as you can in one whirlwind trip. Secondly, it saves money. If you are only gone for one day, if you are able to travel early in the morning or late at night or even overnight, then you don't have to purchase any, you don't have to pay for any hotel or other kind of lodging. And if you're in a city, you don't need to rent a car because you can use public transportation, which is usually a lot cheaper. Also, cities often have sometimes free museums or outdoor exhibits, etc., that you can visit without paying any extra money. So it is a great way to have a quick but fun getaway and to experience the flavor of a city without having a full-blown vacation. The other advantage is you can use a holiday or a day that you already have off. You don't need to take off extra days, but you can still get in a little bit of tourism and travel and have a fun time. So those are all of the reasons why I like to do a city in a day. Originally, our visit to Boston was planned to be that way, but we expanded it because we had more things that we wanted to see there. We have also visited Washington, D.C. and New York City for one-day trips. And I have planned similar trips to cities like Richmond in Virginia and other places. So how exactly does one go about seeing a whole city in one day? Well, first of all, you have to focus a little bit because you can't actually see an entire city in a day. I mean, okay, well, maybe like Baltimore, Maryland, you could see everything that really needs to be seen in one day there. But other cities would take days and days to cover everything that is on offer in that city. So you have to focus. You have to know what you really want to see there. What is the main thing you want to do? When my husband and I went to New York City last year, the main thing I wanted to do was to go to a show. That was the main thing. Other than that, I kind of wanted to go to the New York Public Library and just do the usual touristy walk through Times Square sort of thing. But the other main primary thing that I wanted to do was to walk the, what do they call it? The skyline, maybe is the name of it. There's a raised walkway that's like old train tracks. And they've made it into like a raised garden and a walk, and you can, walk, I don't know what story level it's at. I mean, it's not super high up, but you can like kind of have a better vantage point of the city. And I knew I wanted to walk on that because I had never been there before. I just picked a few things that I knew I really wanted to do in New York City. I wanted to eat some New York bagels. Those were my priorities. For Boston, for me, the main thing was the Freedom Trail. I kind of would think of it this way. If someone says, if you tell someone, hey, I went to Boston, and then they said, oh, did you see blank, whatever's in that blank? That's probably a major highlight of the city that you don't want to miss. So things like that, you definitely want to consider visiting. But really, you can't see everything that is available to see in a city on any given time. So you have to pick and choose what you really want. What are your priorities? What are you going to make sure you see? And maybe it's not what the city is generally known for. Maybe it's something you have a particular interest in. I always squeeze in coffee shops and bookstores or libraries if I can when I am visiting a city. And I'm assuming, since you are watching my booktube channel, that you also would be interested in any kind of bookish sort of things that a city would have. Or maybe you really like art, so you want to hit the art museum or the science museum. Every major city has those things. So you have to pick what might go with your personal interests that you would want to see in that city. and go with that. So start with a short list of 3 to 5 things that at the most that you really want to see in that city, and then work from there. From there, you can plug in all of the extraneous things, the things that might be interesting, or the coffee shop that you would like to try, or good coffee shops. Plug them in around those main highlights where they're going to be, so that you can maximize your time. One of the main reasons for planning a city in a day trip is to save money. So you're already saving money by not having to rent a car. Usually we did this time because we were planning to go a couple hours west of the city. That ended up not working out, but we did end up renting a car. But usually when we do this, we don't rent a car. We just use the public transportation, or we walk. We hoof it everywhere. Also, you don't have to pay for a hotel because you're traveling overnight. That's the whole idea. Other ways, though, there are other ways to save money. First of all, check out what's free in that city. If it's not of interest to you, then it's not worth going, even if it is free. But there may be things that are free, like parks. In Boston, the Boston Common and the Public Garden were free. There was an art installation of Make Way for Ducklings in the Public Garden, stuff like that, perfectly free, just to walk around and look. The Freedom Trail was free, just to go and take pictures of everything. There was a fee to take a tour of some of the buildings, but just taking pictures of the locations was absolutely free, no charge at all. So you can look up what is free and readily available to do. I know in Washington, D.C., all of the Smithsonian museums are free to go to. You can spend an entire week going to Smithsonian museums and still not see everything there is to see in D.C. and all the monuments, etc. So check out what's free. For your list of items that you really want to visit in the city, go to the individual website for that exhibit or building or whatever it is, whatever place you want to go to. Go to the website and look at their ticket prices and see what sort of deals they offer. In Boston, one of the places offered kids to go free, including up through age 17, which covered both our kids, if with a purchase of a parent's ticket. Some of them had the Orchard House, I think it was, had a family rate where a family could go and tour the house, stuff like that. Look on the website for individual pricing. Sometimes if you're going out of season, it may be cheaper, etc. So look and see what the prices are. Also look on Groupon. Type in the name of the place that you want to go, that you want to visit, and put the city for the parameters in your search, and then see if there are any Groupons or deals available for it. I have found some good deals through Groupon that way. Also look into City Pass. City Pass has passes for multiple different cities around the world. We used it when we went to Oahu a couple years ago, and it was a fantastic deal. I looked into it for Boston, but it was not a good deal for Boston because of the youth ticket prices being so widely varied. Our kids did not qualify for the youth city pass because they were too old. However, they did qualify for the youth price in many of the sites that we were going to. So it didn't make sense for us to buy the city pass because we would have ended up paying more for their tickets. It ended up being cheaper in the long run just to pay individually for all of the tickets that we went through. We also came across a deal where you could go to the View Boston and the Fenway Park for one price, which saved like $15 per ticket, which was a great savings. That for the 4 of us, that was saving a total of $60. So that was a great deal that we found. We were able to get to both of those venues, which was a lot of fun. So it takes a lot of research, but you can save a lot of money by doing those things, going directly to the event website, checking their prices, checking Groupon for deals or other. We have a Certificate is another one, certificate.com. They often have deals on local events and activities, so you can find good prices there. I also look up travel blogs for the area that we're going to, or travel bloggers who have written about that particular area, because often they are able to find good deals and give tips on that sort of thing. Local residents to the area who write blogs for visitors are also very helpful. And also if you go to the city website, the city tourism website, sometimes they will have mention of good deals or offers of ways that you can save money. So all of those are ways that you can inexpensively visit the city that you're wanting to tour and get some good deals on tickets for events that you want to do. So focus, figure out exactly what you want to see, save money on it, and maximize your time. So we traveled overnight on the train. So it's not exactly comfortable and it's not everybody's cup of tea. So not everybody wants to do this, but it maximized our time. It gave us 3 full days, morning to night in the city. When my husband and I went to New York last year, same thing. Our train got in at 7 or 8 in the morning. I forget. We left at like 10 o'clock at night. And we had a whole full day in the city and we were able to maximize our time that way instead of having to drive up there, you know, leaving here at, let's say, 6 o'clock in the morning and getting there in mid-morning and then, you know, having to leave in order to leave the city at night. We just like to travel as early and as late as possible to maximize our time. If that's not your cup of tea, another option, now this doesn't save you money, but it may be how you would prefer to travel if you get a city the night before. So let's say you're going on a Saturday and you're not able to take any time off work, but you want to visit this city. So you can get there Friday night after work, either driving, taking a train, flying, whatever, and get a hotel right there overnight. And then you can wake up in the morning, do your thing, and then leave in the evening. So you still would have to pay for the lodging of the hotel, but it maximizes your time. So whatever is more important to you. We love to use the train because it's so easy. There's not any security. There aren't the waits. It's usually quite punctual without the delays and all of that kind of stuff. Usually. Sometimes, you know, obviously like weather and other things can affect it, but we really like the train. My family loves to ride in the train. Not any more or less comfortable really than a plane ride, and you're on it for longer. So that is something to consider, but we just like it. And it's also, we enjoy it. It's part of the trip for us. But the other thing is it does often save a lot of money. I played around a lot with the ticket prices and times and the deals that Amtrak had. And the best price was for us to go out Monday night and come back on Thursday night. And it was $400 round trip for all 4 of us. So that was significantly cheaper than getting a plane ride. And then having to deal with the security lines and, you know, building in all the extra time to go to the airport, etc., whatever. So we like to use the train. I think that there are overnight buses as well. That would be an option. We've never tried that, but it is out there and is also very inexpensive. Even cheaper than a train, I think. This is very important. Look at individual websites for the events, not only for the ticket pricing, but for the times that they are open, because every single museum and whatever restaurant, coffee shop, all of them, they all have different times that they're open. So do not make the mistake of assuming that it will be open when you plan to go there. You have to work around the times that those places are open, not otherwise. So that is how you will plan your day, is the timings that are made by them. When we went to New York, I made the mistake of planning to go on a Wednesday, and it wasn't until after we'd already bought the train tickets and everything that I realized that the Met was not open on Wednesday, and that had been one of the main things that I wanted to do. It was a huge mistake. So we still have to go. We're gonna go not on a Wednesday next time, maybe this summer, and we will go to the Met this time. But it will have to be on a day other than Wednesday because they're closed on Wednesdays. So do look into that before you purchase anything. Make sure you know when things are open so that it's open when you want to go. And knowing the timing also helps you to know if, say, this museum opens at 9, but then this one opens at 11. Well, then you can hit the 9 o'clock one first and then go to the 11 o'clock one. And also, if this one closes at 3, but then this one closes at 5, then you can adjust your schedule accordingly and figure out where it's best to go first. So maximize your time. Secondly, navigation is very important because this kind of ties into maximizing your time. You don't want to be like zigzagging all over the city and retracing your steps. You will waste time and you will not be able to see as much, plus you'll be exhausted. Or you'll have to pay extra for public transportation. So you have to make a route that makes sense that begins and ends wherever your transportation is or where you're staying, so that you can see as much as you want to see, but without any extra effort or extra navigation. So thankfully, nowadays we have so many tools to make this really easy. First of all, we have Google Maps. Google Maps, not only can you see where everything is that you are wanting to visit, you can also like mark them and save them in a list or make your own map of those things. It also gives you directions by car, by public transportation, by walking, and gives you estimated amounts of times. You can put in the times that you're going to be traveling, because that will affect it. Like if you are there during rush hour, you're wanting to go from here to here during rush hour, that will be a different amount of time than in the middle of the day. So you can do all of that in Google Maps, super helpful. I also like to use City Mapper, which focuses specifically on public transportation in each city. So it will give you the best, most inexpensive, most time effective method of transportation to get from point A to point B. And then it will tell you the cost of it. It will give you specific steps, step-by-step instructions, how to do it. So City Mapper is another great tool to use. Similarly, Rome to Rio, and I will put links to all of these in the description box, but Rome to Rio is another one that is very helpful in getting an idea of how you can get from this place to that place. Especially things that are maybe a little bit more obscure. It tells you how to get from here to there anywhere around the world. Additionally, I like to go to the city's subway or public transportation website, because every city operates their metro system differently and it can be confusing. So if you have the maps, like they usually have PDFs of maps you can print out. They have the fee schedules there. They have the timings of the trains and everything on there, so you can figure that out as well, whether you're talking about buses or subways, etc. I prefer the subway to buses. Buses are a little more confusing as far as finding the stops and where to get on, where to get off. The subway or metro is a little bit easier to navigate, usually, if the city has a metro system. Another option is the hop on, hop off bus. Sometimes you can get a good deal through that, like a coupon or something like that. So it can actually end up being just as cost effective to do hop on, hop off as it is to ride the metro all day long. So especially if the places you want to go are on the route of the hop on, hop off bus and are kind of far flung from each other. So you'd have to be riding to them instead of walking anyway. If everything you want to see is kind of clustered in an area that you can just walk to them, then it doesn't make sense. But if you want to see some, more far-flung things, it may make more sense to do the hop-on, hop-off bus or one of those similar type of services. I also like the app Wanderlog, which has both a free and a premium version. So far, I haven't paid for the premium version, and I've been very satisfied with what I'm able to get from the free version. You can put in there, you can create for yourself an itinerary. It will also store your lodging and transportation information, if you have that. But you can put in all of the places that you want to see. You can put them in the order that you want to see them, and then it will tell you how long it will take you to get from one to the next. And then it has a little thing where you can hit the directions to go from exhibit A to exhibit B, whatever the things are that you want to do, so that you can plan it out and refer to that. I also have in the past typed it all up, just a simple bullet point thing, this place I want to go to. It's 10 minutes from the previous place, walking or by metro. If I need to take any kind of subway, I put the directions on there. I put the timing that it's open, how much it costs, etc. just in bullet points. So I have done that as well. Wanderlog does the same thing, but it's on an app. So whichever one you prefer. Sometimes I like to have the paper because you don't always have, your phone isn't charged, or using your phone a lot loses the charge. And then anyways, then you have to charge it, all that kind of stuff. So a paper can be useful as well. And finally, prepare for the day itself. Weather is a huge thing, especially if you're going to be doing a lot of walking and a lot of outdoor activities. You have to be dressed for the weather and prepared for whatever the weather will bring. If it's going to be really hot and sunny, you're going to want hat, sunglasses, or sunscreen if you use it, or things like that. Anything to help you deal with being out in the elements throughout the day. Or if it's cold, you want to make sure you're dressed appropriately with a coat, and you also want to consider the kind of coat or layers that are best for going in and out of buildings. If it's raining, you might need to decide if you need to bring an umbrella or what kind of shoes you want to wear for that, etc. So pay attention to the weather and prepare for it. I always like to travel light, no matter where I'm going, but especially for like just doing a city on a day. If we're literally just riding the train there and riding the train back, and not staying any length of time, just a backpack and with only what I need for the day in there. So, which might include an umbrella or a hat or whatever, something like that. Or, obviously my phone, my wallet, any tickets or anything that I need would be in the bag. So not a lot, just the bare necessities for being out one day. So just a backpack or a fanny pack, if you like those. So travel light, but be prepared. Do check into the rules for various museums and event locations. There may be rules about backpacks, etc. So you want to check into that and make sure that your bag is compliant with that. Some of them don't have water bottles, don't allow water bottles. So I don't like to bring a reusable water bottle with me because I may or may not be able to carry it into all of the locations and the venues. So I unfortunately just use, a disposable plastic water bottle that I don't mind having to toss. So you do need to check into that, since you won't be able to leave those things behind at a hotel room. If you don't have any lodging, you want to be able to know that you can get into all of the places that you want to go. Like for example, when we went to Fenway Park in Boston, they do not allow bags. Now they were okay with like certain, when we were actually there, we saw that they were okay with certain small bags, like, like a small purse kind of thing. They just looked in it. But on the website, they were kind of strict, saying, that you weren't allowed to have any bags. So we just had our phones on us and nothing else when we went to Fenway Park. But it kind of depends on the venue and what the rules are. So you do have to be aware of that as you are planning, and be ready for that. And finally, just be flexible and enjoy. Anything can happen. Anything could happen. You could be prepared for one type of weather and then all of a sudden it's storming and you may have to switch gears. Something may be closed that you had done your due diligence and researched and it should be open, but it ends up being closed when you're there. That happens sometimes. You may find that you did not give yourself enough time for one place, but you really wanted to spend more time there, and vice versa. This happens more often, that you give yourself too much time for a particular location. And so then you move on to the next one, and then you just use that extra time somewhere else to do something fun. And it allows for a little bit of impulsive, impetuous stopping and just spontaneously seeing what is nearby, what catches your eye, what you might be interested in. So be flexible. Allow the plan to have a plan. It's very, very, very helpful to have a detailed, well thought out, navigated plan. But be flexible and be willing to change your plan and go with the flow as the situation requires or as the mood changes. I know when we went into Washington, D.C. last summer, we all were really tired after a certain point. I had intended for us to walk back to the metro or to the train station to go back home, but we were just too tired. And we ended up taking the metro back to the train station. And we also left a little bit earlier than we had originally intended because we had seen everything we wanted to see. It was hot and we were tired and we were ready to go home. So, that happens. So be flexible and just enjoy it. Whatever comes, enjoy the day, enjoy the experience, and have fun. So let me know in the comments if you have ever done this, if you've tried to see as much as you could of a city in a day. I'm also curious, what kind of traveler are you? Are you a budget traveler like me and you just want to get as much bang for your buck in the amount of time that you have? Or do you take things slow? Do you savor every moment? Do you plan ahead or do you just wing it? Do you like to travel at all? All these questions. Let me know in the comments what you think, and